DJ Leroy.
Night Watchman, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. So, Night Watchman, I believe we still have a federal government. Is that correct?
I'm not really sure about that. I think we're in a monarchy right now.
Whoa, whoa. Okay, okay. Well, why would you say that?
Or they're trying to transition to it.
Gotcha. Slowly but surely. So I don't want to hear off with your head. I don't want to hear that to you, Night Watchman.
Yeah.
but in times like these, one of the things that often we turn to is art. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Oh man. So of course, the Heath Gallery, they've been holding it down. So Saundra is going to have to come on the show, of course. Yes.
Good morning.
Welcome
How are
back.
you? Yes.
I'm good.
Nice.
All things considered.
well, also major props because you are the president of the Mount Mars Park Community Improvement Association.
Thank you. Yes. Since the second or third week of January. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent. And like I say, if there's one thing I love to see, let's say, Black people, folks of color, still having a prominent role in this historic community. So thumbs up.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? I understand that we have a couple of newbies, huh?
Yes,
And of course, with this wonderful show exhibit that you have, Boys Don't Cry, Growing Pains.
Yes.
And I happen to also be a Black boy who I haven't fully grown up.
I have nothing to say.
We covered that in the exhibit.
No shots fired.
No. So definitely, let's bring out one. I believe the curator, and that's Yvena Despagne. Bring her out. Yes. Hey.
Welcome, Yvena.
Thank you for having me. Hello. Good evening.
Absolutely. And depending on how this goes, you know what? You and the next gentleman that we'll have bringing out the artists. We'll see whether or not you'll come back to the cookout, okay?
Oh, the pressure.
Yeah. Yes. There he goes. There goes Chris. Chris, what's up, buddy?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good, man. Good. So you know what? I think, first of all, I think I want to start with the returning vet that could only be Saundra. Saundra, do tell me about this exhibit.
Oh, this exhibit is it's exquisite. It is exquisite. It really, if I may say so myself.
Yes, you do. Yes, go ahead.
It's a group exhibit with 11 artists. The title, of course, is Boys Don't Cry, Growing Pains, but it's really a conversation about how we're raising our Black boys to be men, how we are parenting. It is the second iteration of the exhibit. The first one, Yvena produced, I think it was a few years ago at a gallery downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that she's come back and she's doing it with us. And it's also my second or third time working with her. But there are 11 artists that are featured. It's a broad range of disciplines, from sculpture to mixed media to conceptual pieces. There's a digital piece. There's interactive work. Paintings, of course, photography. So it really has a lot of depth and breadth, with also a lot of additional programming that supports it.
Beautiful. And Yvena, so
Yes.
Of course, knowing your Haitian American background there, and my mom's people, of course, from the islands, from St. Kitts, and then my father's people from the South, from Georgia and North Carolina. So definitely in terms of raising kids, right? We certainly do know that discipline is sometimes a key factor in that. Okay, there's certainly ways that we do not speak to our elders, much less our parents, or else there could be, as they say, consequences.
Right.
So do tell me, what was the impetus for you to curate this particular exhibit?
Well, as far as discipline is concerned with parenting, I think it's changed a lot over time. I know the way that I was disciplined growing up is totally different from how we're choosing to discipline children, at least for the most part. I know that, because of technology and kids are now more aware of their resources, it's kind of hard to rear your child in a way where they don't feel defensive and feel like they have a way of like getting away with not being disciplined.
Yes.
But I know when I was a child, I was raised by my grandparents in Harlem. It's also
Nice.
a beautiful thing that I'm coming back to Harlem and doing this exhibition. Feels like full circle for me. But growing up in Harlem, I was disciplined by my grandparents who were born and raised in Haiti.
Wow.
So it's always a harder hand, more stern. Um, when it's coming from grandparents versus parents directly. So I was very sheltered. There's a term in Creole called l'école, l'église, la caille, which means school, home, and church. The only three places I was allowed to go to growing up. Yeah, so yeah, I think between my grandparents, their way of disciplining versus my parents' way of disciplining versus how I'm seeing my sisters now raise their children, it's definitely different now.
Absolutely. And you know what? One of the things I guess I got to find out too, Chris, you being a black boy, now black man, tell me about your experience growing up and how does this particular exhibit resonate with you?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I believe I'm a product of my neighborhood. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn.
Mm,
And one of the things I remember just growing up is there was always some, I like to call street smarts to learn.
mm-hmm.
Not only respect, also not only street smarts, but also learn respect from my parents. And there's just a lot of things that as I grew up, as further in the city, there's a lot of things I started, which is good, the bad, and then the ugly, of course. So with this show, it's very interesting because it's me reminiscing to a lot of things I learned as growing up. And one of the conversations I had with some of the viewers, there was a mom in particular where I was speaking to about it. And one of the first lessons I learned is that, of course, I think as a city kid, you're so used to just exploring outside your means. I was a pretty bad kid growing up, but I did have a lot of respect. But the thing is, one of the things I learned, excuse me, is to communicate. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I learned as I got older is, when my mom was worried, hey, where you at? It wasn't to nag me. It was
Right,
more or
right.
less, she was just worried about where I am,
Mm-hmm.
what's my location. So with this show, it's just really a bunch of reminiscing of like the times where, as I was growing up in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, one of the things, so Night Watchman, knowing that you were raised in that West Indian household, man, what was it like? Did you tell your parents like, no? What did you
Okay, I don't even know how you would even think you could put a West Indian household and say no like that. But I will say that just as Yvena said, I saw in when I was a kid, and because we were West Indians, I had my mom was one of 11, so we had like 36 cousins, and we would all go to my grandparents' house on Sunday out in Queens. And my grandfather was children should be seen and not heard. He was like one of those people who would discipline you. You'd have to go get your switch from the yard, so you'd have to get the object of your own destruction, and then he would whip you. My cousin Keith, who's 4 days younger than me, once got beat for sitting in his big recliner chair. So he was a disciplinarian, but he had 11 kids, so I can understand why he ran a tight ship. Getting to my parents, they were not that bad, but there was discipline. so no, the no, you couldn't cry. If you cry, I'll give you something to cry. So, but it was enough to keep us, in line. And certainly, education has always been a big part of West Indian households, and it was expected.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was our history.
Gotcha. Well, one of the things, Saundra, certainly now you raising, of course, two daughters.
Right.
Very, very different. What's it like in the Heath household? And in terms of discipline, how did you approach that?
I think I grew up with the same concept that kids are to be, seen but not. So I think our parenting was really looking to remove any of the things that we didn't like experiencing as kids, and incorporating things that we wanted. And so I don't, if I grew up being spanked. I grew up being, spanked without clothes on. Remember that one? So our daughters, between them, maybe they were spanked twice. We were the talk to your children, kind of remove privileges, kind of parents.
Well, Saundra, I want to find out from you, is there a particular look that you could shoot to your daughters that would mean that you're not playing?
Oh, yeah. There's a look that would have them freeze in the spot. I think every parent of color has that look,
I now.
Yeah. Well. Let me see your look.
With my nieces and nephew, when I'm not playing, I'll just be like,
right.
Wow. Oh my God. Night Watchman. That is a bit scary. That is a bit scary. Okay. I mean, okay. So, Chris, it seems you're not intimidated by any of this, huh? Is that true?
Well, I mean, like I said, I grew up a bad kid, so I definitely got a whole bunch of whippings and whatnot with that as well too. But to be honest, it started off in the household just learning just respect, discipline. And so even though I stepped out of line a little bit, one of those lessons was really important, because when you took it outside, not to just mess with just anyone. And that's one of the things that, I grew up with two different households. So, my mom was from Jamaica and St. Elizabeth. And then my pop is from Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Wow.
So that's two different, disciplines attacking together.
Yes. and both, as you say, did not play at all. So, So Saundra, taking a deep dive into this exhibit, tell me, what are the things that, let's say, I, casual observer, walking in, what am I to expect and experience? Tell me.
Yeah, I think that you're going to experience different aspects of your own childhood. I think it would make you stop and pause, and you would be connected with your own experience of what your parents were like. If your father was in the home or not in the home, I think you'll have a moment to reflect on that. There's a whole piece around play, and the way Yvena has organized the exhibit. You have one area that has a look at what happens in the household, inside the household. What are the dynamics between the adults in the household? What is the composition of adults in the household? There's a piece that also takes a couple of pieces that take a look at single parent mothers. There's an entire play area. And then the exhibit moves to what happens when children step outside of their home. Who are they interacting with? Who's raising our children? Know that our children are raised not just by individuals, but they're also raised by societal influences. It's very, very comprehensive. And actually, Yvena could probably do the best job of really walking through the the placement of ideas throughout the exhibit.
Beautiful. Okay, yeah, because one of the things, Yvena, I definitely have to ask: is there a particular, let's say, picture or visual that I see, the talk? Because we certainly do know that every Black boy, if you grew up in America, you have to have the talk, and that's maybe being confronted by law enforcement or whatever. But it's there, it's real.
Yeah, there's a particular piece in the show that's called "The N-Word" by Lex. And so it's a canvas piece of her son's old uniform pants that she decided to like utilize in her creation. And behind the uniform pants, there's like see-through. She kind of like stripped holes where you can see through it and see a display of the American flag kind of peeking with the letter N, but it's a specific kind of N that you would find sometimes in varsity coats or clothing.
Yes.
And so I thought this was a very strong piece because as I say this to the guests that come into the space and experience this in person, it's interesting to find a moment where your boy comes home and asks you that question: what is the N-word? You know what the full word is, and instead of saying that full word, in the sense of respecting the household, knowing that it's a bad word, instead of saying what is that full word, they come innocently asking what is that N-word. In the same light, maybe they do know, but would love to find comfort and understanding. And then at the same time, we're witnessing, that parent is having a moment of witnessing their child's boyhood or childhood kind of being stripped away from them, after experiencing such, an irate way of being spoken to. And so, yeah, I also paired this piece next to Chris's work, which is interesting because, once you have been asked that question, what is the N-word? What is the result of how do you explain this to your child? Because, at the same time, you're hurting too, knowing that, people are displaying this kind of behavior towards your child, innocent little boy who now has to realize he's Black in America.
Wow.
And so with Chris's work right next to it, he has this cover, magazine cover, with questions like, how do you protect your child in America? How to raise a Black boy? If I could just pull it up real quick. Right there in front of me, it's saying raise Black boys, and where are we safe in America? How to talk to your children about race.
Wow. Go out. Oh, gotcha. And I think before we started, I had also told you I had an experience in terms of dating a Haitian woman, right? And one of the things now, I want to know if it was prevalent in your household as well, because her mother was a teacher of French, a French teacher. They did not allow Creole to be spoken in the household. What was your experience? Did your parents have the same edict?
No, in my household, Creole was the first language.
Gotcha.
And more so because my grandparents are from Haiti, so of course their stronger language is Creole. And so it was a Kringlish situation where, the parents would speak to you in Creole, but then you would respond in English. And I think it was more so pushed upon us to speak English versus anything else, because we're living as Americans now.
Yes.
And so they want us to be accepted as Americans and to have the best life in America. And so for us, they push English to be our first language versus Creole. Whereas as I became an adult, that became like an opposite for me. Whereas, I was taught to appreciate my American side more than I was my Haitian side. I started to develop into my own person and wanting to learn where I came from, and kind of push more pride towards me being a Haitian person. I didn't understand the importance of my country until I was an adult and started doing my own research.
Yes.
And forcing myself to learn Creole more and reading in Creole and writing in Creole. Creole became my first language for me as an adult versus as a child. Even now, when I'm responding to my parents, I still fall into the Kringlish habit where I'll answer some in English, some in Creole, maybe all in Creole, maybe all in English. But yeah, language was a very interesting. I was never forced to speak French. That's for sure.
Gotcha. And Chris, you're growing up in the household with like me in terms of the South and the islands, and which one was prevalent in the household, and which one, as you were growing, did you adopt more?
So for me, surprisingly, none. And I know, right? And for me, it makes sense because my mom, originally from Jamaica, so she moved from Jamaica to America, and my pop, very similar, of course, down south. He moved from down south Alabama to New York, and both of them was very young age. So for them, at that time, especially around that around the times of from where they was living, it was more or less a escape to have more opportunities. And sometimes with that, especially in the islands, they give up part of their culture just so they can fit into American society. So every so often, I will hear my mom slip up a little bit and that accent will come out a little bit. But she make I do understand why she suppressed it a little bit, and it was just mainly because she looked at it as broken English.
Gotcha. No.
So
Chris,
what about food? What was the food like in the household?
Well, that's a different story. That I got the best of both worlds. You
All
have
right.
down south cuisine, and then you also have all the food you can imagine when just living in Jamaica. So that's one thing which I was happy about, was be able to learn about a bit of my culture from both sides. And definitely food was a number one thing with it. Food, sometimes certain media, you watching something on TV or something they collect, magazines, stuff like that. That's something that was always prevalent. So it gave me a little bit of insight of my culture, but at least speaking it in the household, they was more pushing for, hey, well, you're in America. Well, my mom, but you're in America right now. You need to learn normal English, and you'll be able to move on from there.
So, Chris, tell me a little bit about your artistic process. How you grew into being an artist, what media you like to work in, and what motivates you to create what you create.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I always started drawing as a kid. So even when I used to remember as a kid right in front of the TV, of course, a little too close, but I always had a
Gotcha.
sketchbook or something, just something to just draw with all the time. And for me, just growing up, I was always interested in the arts, but the only difference is maybe just the resources and supplies I just did not have. So the only difference growing up and just play with art was I was always a creative, but it was just not having sometimes the tools to create from. But I honestly really, as from what I remember as a kid, what really got me started was seeing my bigger brothers how they did art. One was a graffiti artist. Other one just was always sketching in his notebook, and I think that what really pushes me to create a lot more. And growing up, I was watching a lot of cartoons, and it was just kind of things that just, it was always some type of art coming around. Maybe not physical art like going to a gallery museum. However, it was always a art style I'm seeing some way, somehow, especially living in the urban environment. You always will see something of arts. So now with my practice, it's really, as I've been creating more and more along the way, I started realizing that a lot of the things that make me create is some of the things that, let's say, I experienced as growing up. So that could be physical media, the magazine series that's currently in the show. And for me, it was just mainly because growing up, a couple of things I will always see a lot in my household was magazines. Like there was always Ebony. My mom still has a subscription for S's magazine to this day. I remember my pops used to have Jet magazines.
Oh yes.
So it was something as a recurring thing I see in households. And just like even with all different medias I use with photography, whatnot, photography, one thing I always saw a lot was photo albums. So with the paintings, it would just make sense that to create something that I'm used to seeing a lot in our households, and depend on the cover, what is said, is always something that we can resonate with. And I think right now we're in an interesting time because we are in a digital age, but now we're pushing further into that. So this is what motivates me now within my practice is to recreate these magazine covers, because right now it is looking like an obsolete media. And for me, creating this within this series, it's a way to just kind of have like a time capsule of just things that we used to have that is physically by touch, but now becoming more digitally as well too.
Beautiful, beautiful. I guess one of the things I have to ask. So then, Chris, you are an artist, a working artist.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't say starving artist. I said working artist.
No, absolutely. I don't believe in like a starving artist. I believe that we are all, in a sense, working artists. You might be in different levels of your life, but if you are constantly creating a project or constantly creating an ideal, then you're working on something. Maybe opportunity is not right there, but ideally, you should create without thinking, I want to do this. You should create because this is something that resonates with you and you want to put out in the world. Everything else comes afterwards. So this is what kind of motivates me to keep creating as I go 10 years down. And to be honest, like one of the first opportunities I got was actually when I was presenting work at Heath Gallery when they were doing their hang night. So
yes,
it comes around full circle to be able to be in the show, because for me, I was always in the beginning not really pushing to show my work out more. And when I first heard about hang night and participate in it, it just gave me that great feeling like, oh, this is how I feel. I need to do more of this. So it's been, yes, working artist is definitely is the title I give to myself. I'm sure many other artists will agree too.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Night Watchman, certainly you know that we have a former corporate professional. I'm talking about we're talking about promotion, we're talking about public relations, we're talking about advertising, and then suddenly she becomes this big maven in Harlem, this community, and has a premier gallery. And so I want to know her journey. Saundra, what was it? Was it his art, or what attracted you to him? Do tell.
How Heath Gallery came to be is that my husband became an artist. And once he became an artist.
Well, hold on, back up for a second. He wasn't initially an artist?
No. His original interest was in fashion design. Wow. And even before we even thought about having a gallery, I was thinking about this morning. He used to create designs on T-shirts. And then, we would go down to the village, and he would go on one side of the street, I'd get on the other side of the street, and we'd try and sell them. And we'd have a lot of fun. It was kind of like a contest between us. And then we met an artist in the neighborhood who said to my husband, you're really an artist. And he took him down to Pearl Paint and showed him.
Oh, yes, Pearl Paint, yes.
Yeah, showed him the materials to get at that time. My husband was over 40, and realized, wait a minute, this is what I'm really to do. This is what I want to do. And when he got ready to show his work to a bigger audience, he went downtown to Soho. Doors didn't open. We were in the process of renovating our property here and decided, well, we don't know anything about running a gallery, but you have walls. It looks like that's, core to running a gallery. You need a place to show the art and
Yes.
invite people in, and that's what we will do. So we started first showing his art and then began quickly to show others. And that's what we've been doing the last 23 years, really making sure that we provide opportunities, not just for artists, but for anyone, everyone in the creative space, because we believe that for an artist to develop, they need an audience, they need a support, they need places where they can be seen and be heard.
Beautiful. And I think I'll go off on this. In terms of collaboration with other galleries or organizations, you've also been instrumental in doing that as well, huh?
Yes, collaboration is important. We need one another,
Mm-hmm.
and no person is an island. We need to be able to share resources. We need to have conversation, with one another. There are a few, galleries in this area: Artful Walls, Kente Royal,
Mm-hmm.
Calabar Gallery, and so all of these galleries we have a relationship. I'm actually sitting on a panel at Artful Walls, next week.
Uh-huh.
Some, curators. I'm sure that Yvena works with other curators and collaborates on projects and shares information about artists and also shares information about, spaces. Here's a gallery that is receptive to those who are early in their career. Here's, a space where maybe you don't want to work because, we don't like how they treat artists or how they, handle us as curators. And similarly, artists collaborate. Artists collaborate even to get together and do projects together. But collaboration is key.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Yvena, so you came out the womb thinking about art, or is that your journey? Let me hear it.
Coming out the womb thinking about art was definitely not the start of my journey. I didn't start thinking about art until 2015. Actually, so I'm still preemie in the game, a baby in the game.
So what happened in 2015?
Yes.
Yeah, 2015. I was going through a bit of a depression. I was going through a hard time. But I've been depressed many times prior to that specific situation. And I wanted to find a positive outlet to help me to get over it. I didn't want to go through a deep black hole of, feeling sorry for myself or not wanting to progress or work out of it. So one time I was laying in bed watching YouTube, or I should say YouTube was watching me. And this tutorial came on of this artist in QuickTime painting a small portrait on an 8x10 canvas. And so I remember the feeling I had from watching that and feeling mesmerized. And the only thing that mattered at the moment was watching that, person paint. And that was the first time that I was able to relax and not think about my problems. So I thought to myself, maybe I should teach myself how to paint. So literally the next day I went to the art store, Blick, and I bought the paint supplies that she had in the video. And my sister just moved into her new apartment and had an empty living room still. So I posted my easel and my stool and my paint supplies all in her living room. And I just started painting. And again, feeling, calm and relaxed and not having to worry about my problems happened. So then one tutorial turned to 10, turned to 100, turned to me starting to create my own concepts. And then I started applying for art shows to share my work. In the midst of that, I got hired by a young gallery just from telling my story. And I had to go from learning how to teach myself how to paint to becoming a gallery assistant. And from there, they asked me where I saw myself going with my career. And actually, that's when I started becoming more passionate and doing more research, learning more deeply about the different parts of the art world, as far as like the genres, the different galleries, the different positions, and curation kind of came into play from watching tutorials, art walkthroughs actually with different curators. And I told them I wouldn't mind dabbling into curating. And they're like, great, so you can curate the next show. So I had a curator within 6 months. And I did my first art show. It was a big task, 2 floors, 3 rooms.
Wow.
I didn't know if anyone would show up, but I did everything I could. I had some of the best artists in my beginnings who are now doing amazing in the art world now.
Beautiful.
We're still friends now. And before I knew it, the whole house was packed with people. And that made me realize, wow, I think this is what I want to do. And ever since then, I've gotten the curation bug, and I took off from there.
Well, and tell me about this, because as you say, you're an artist yourself, right? And so now you're curating a show. I'm an artist. I have some works. Oh, please, Yvena, please put this in there. So the art must also speak to you, is what you decide. You must know the theme, of course. And then the actual works must individually speak to you, how you select them, because you can't have everything in there.
No, I think that's one of the most difficult tasks for a curator, is having to be selective about the artists that they work with.
Wow.
I know that becomes very challenging for me, because I want to give everyone an opportunity, but if the artwork is not speaking to me or speaking to the work that I'm putting out, it's kind of difficult to just kind of throw people in, And so, but I also don't leave people behind, because just because I don't choose you now doesn't mean that there isn't a show or something that we can work on later on, in the long run. So I kind of also, encourage artists to keep going regardless of who selects them or when it happens. The most important part is to keep, creating and keep developing the work.
Okay, I got you.
Yvena, do you still paint?
I actually still do. It's been a little busy for me, so I get most of my painting in during the downtimes of the art. So it's like closer to summertime, when things start to slow down, or closer to like the holidays and winter, that I actually get a moment to myself to get into the studio. Because there's one thing I learned from one of my best artist friends, is that as much as you're great at doing both, you can't do both. So excuse me, I had to learn how to balance between being an artist and being a curator. And so I put curation at the forefront, because it was something that I was very passionate in developing. But the artistry in me has never left. I have a studio in New Jersey at Mana Contemporary.
Okay.
And so whenever I do make the time or have the time, I'll go out there for 2-3 days at a time. It's not fun traveling between Jersey and New York, Brooklyn. And so, I do make the time. But I did understand the importance of strengthening one, so that I can also, in the long run, strengthen the other side of me. So,
I was wondering, as you said, that definitely you need to travel outside of the space where you reside in order to get those quote unquote creative juices flowing. Okay.
Yeah, and the focus.
Well, that's her journey. I mean, different artists are different about that. I mean, I know artists who cocoon themselves in their own space, and they just, there's an obsession that artists have to create, and I've noticed this. I've talked to a lot of artists over the years. I'm always fascinated by the artistic process, and the real artists, there's nothing can stop them from creating art. They have to get up in the morning and they got to make some art. Get up the next day and make some art. and sometimes they go on binges. I had an experience last week. So I have a friend of mine whose mother is an artist, and I knew she was an artist, but I had never really fully experienced her art until I went to visit them. They live in Texas. So I'd been there years ago, but I hadn't been there lately. And so I got a chance to experience all of her artwork. And you could see the obsession, because she would do a whole series of things, and she worked in multiple media. She worked in watercolor, she worked in fabric. I mean, there's, you know, and her house was basically like her own gallery, who nobody saw but the family. But so I got a chance to get a view of all of it, and some of the stuff was just like she would just go on a binge and just create until she was like done with the series. And I'm always fascinated by the drive, the inner drive to just let it come out. And I feel like it exists regardless of your format. I mean, musical artists have it the same way.
Authors.
You know, authors have it the same way. That there's some sort of internal drive that just, it has to come out, you know.
Nice. So, Chris, hearing that, take us through your creative process. Do you do it right there in your home, or you have another place that you travel to for that calm, that inner peace, where you can, as you say, let it flow?
Yeah, for sure. Well, for me, I react. Typically now, I do have a studio that I go to, but just when I started off creating, I just make anything possible, which is, regardless what space I am, I try to make the best use of it. So for me, it kind of feels that as my process, it becomes like a need, in the sense that it is something that I wake up, just like we all know, hey, if you wake up, brush your teeth. So for me,
Gotcha.
I made it a part of the way where it's just part of the process, where it is, all right, well, today I did this. Let me put some paint on the canvas a little bit here and there. So it just becomes like just a need for me to just keep going. And as time goes on, that need just shapes into part of my schedule, where it is something where I'll just see in my calendar, just like, all right, today I'll research on this, or today I'll just do some sketches on this, that, third. So it's just become part of the process. And with that being said, it's just something where now I don't look at it as work. I look at it as just a passion, and this is just something that will keep me going. So I am type of one of the artists that is very organized, which is good, because I've been told there's a lot of disorganization in the art world sometimes. But you know, it's something that I'm just so used to doing. Is just kind of feels like a switch. When I'm ready, I'm in the space, I just turn the switch on and just get right at it.
Gotcha. Beautiful.
How do you find a balance between digital art and physical art?
Oh, so attention. So for me, is whatever works I'm going to create, it has attention behind it. So example of that is some of the digital art I have been working on. Why I do some of those digital art is because the end product is usually I make stickers out of them, which I have some somewhere, but I'll find when we have a chance. But I have, like, usually if I'm going to create whatever, digital or physical, I will have something in mind that's like getting from A to Z. So it's usually depends on the project or the series I'm working on, but I like using all. Whatever tools I have to use, I'm going to use them all.
Beautiful. And so, Saundra, so when Thomas is in his creative mode, he wants to do some art or whatever, what's he like? Do you know whatever, I got to stay away and give him his space, or is he still interacting with the family?
So he's been very fortunate that from the beginning, he's had a studio at home from the very beginning. Even if that, meant we had to, compromise another space to create that opportunity for him. And so he goes into his studio. We know that he's in his studio working, and
Mm-hmm.
he comes out. You know, we can. He's it's fine to go into the studio while he's working and have conversation with him and even
Gotcha.
sit and talk with him. But he definitely goes into a studio and goes into the zone.
Gotcha. Because we know sometimes, you know, when a night watchman is doing his thing, I can't really talk to him for a couple of days. Right? But having said that, so yes. So Eva, do tell me in terms of you and what's it like when you're on your creative process? What do you
Well, as far as curation is concerned, I'm still very well. Maybe let me not lie. I do tend to go into my hole a little bit because then especially when I'm getting closer to opening night with the exhibition, friends and family don't hear from me for a little bit.
Gotcha.
Full focus. It's like going into a basketball game or championship or something. You know, you need full focus. Nothing can distract you. And so, yeah, that's my process.
Wow. Now watching, I'm digging that. Yvena got it down. She has it down.
Well, curation is an art too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's why when you were speaking, Bob, I'm sorry, Knife.
Bob is fine. I answer to that.
When you were saying that, you know, when an artist gets into a zone, it's hard to kind of strip them away from that. It's the same way for me with curation. I kind of look at the gallery space as my blank canvas and the artist's artwork as my, you know, paints and markers and me like throwing all these pieces together in one space and creating a flow that kind of makes sense. It's the same way if you were to see a finished art piece
right.
of an artist, you know, you would see the full story with that canvas.
It's like a symphony conductor is an artist as well, even though they're not picking up a single instrument.
Right. Good one, Night Watchman. You know, there's a reason why, you know, you're on this show. We get it.
Yes, because you couldn't do it without me.
I really couldn't. But don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Okay? But
our secret.
But Chris, man, so have you participated, let's say, in a show or an exhibit, right? You can't have all of your works. You cannot. Okay. It has a particular theme. There's a particular piece or whatnot. You feel it fits, but they didn't select it. How do you feel, man?
Oh, you know, to be honest, I don't really have those type of issues. And
so you get everything you want, huh?
Well, let me explain it like this way. Like within my creative process, like I tend to overcreate, and not as a bad that's not an issue. But the thing is that I always feel like whatever pieces I make, it will fit in some ways somehow. So even with this show, I remember when there was a whole bunch of pieces I was making for the show. And the thing is that I always tend to trust the curator. Like their vision, they have a particular vision they want to show. And for me as an artist, it's just I'm corroborating with them to just make it fit into that show. Gotcha. So because maybe one piece doesn't make 1, 2, 3 pieces didn't make the show, it's more opportunities for it to go to another show and to show and to have like a stronger message behind it as well too. Because I guess just as I've been maturing more as an artist, not every show you're gonna have to put everything in it.
Gotcha.
So for me, it's as I mature more, just having 1 or 2 pieces get there, let it relax a little bit, focus on just the next thing. And trust me, there will always be more opportunities to showcase more work. But for now, it's just that I honestly just never will. I don't recall ever have that issue. I was always just excited just to participate and just be able to be part of that message that show is showcasing as well too.
Gotcha. And also, Chris, have you been also able to see the evolution of your work?
Absolutely. And I've seen it in so many different ways. So let's say, especially with painting right now, I do have a lot of pieces that are 5 years ago that I look at it now. It's like, wow, I definitely have improved on. And you know, it's at this point, working in the studio, you start marking how you evolve over time. And for me, so many different ways, from the dates of when you create these works to the new skills you learn in between. This is all what marked my progress in between of just going as I've been evolving as an artist. So for me, it's just been just a fantastic journey, because a lot of times, even before like I really took painting serious, I was always skeptical, because I was like, I'm not sure if I should do this, because I see this person doing this, and then I see someone do that. And I think as creatives, you get to a certain point, you just, what, I don't care. I'm just going to create, and I'm just going to make something. And but I think that's like a lesson that a lot of artists learn over time, is just create for yourself first. Everything else comes afterwards.
Beautiful. And you know what, Saundra, in terms of, let's say, from signature T-shirts to now, have you noticed the evolution of your husband in terms of his work?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you can look back and see collections. I can tell this particular body of work was created during this time, and it can be the color palette. It can be addition of texture, periods where the focus was on a particular part of the palette. Multiple figures in the work. The narrative shifts over time. There's so many different ways that you can see in my husband's work how he's progressed, and I would say with most artists who continue to look to grow and improve.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Night Watchman, you know what? Can you say lightning round?
Yeah, it's about that time. Yes.
All right. So, you want to set it off?
Well, we come to the end of the show, so you guys have a chance to make some last comments and tell us how people can get in touch with you.
Yes. Okay, we'll start out. Yvena, let's go.
So very grateful to be part of the show. Thank you so much again for having all of us. You can find me on Instagram at Yvena Despagne Art, as it's spelled on the screen, Yvena Despagne Art. Also, ArtxAyiti, ArtxAyiti on Instagram, if you'd like to see how I work and select artwork with Haitian artists.
Ooh, okay. I love that. Chris, what you got popping?
So thank you guys, honestly, for hosting this as well too. As you see, the sun is killing me now. But fantastic just discussion just for everyone, all like minds. I really appreciate it. And just to find me, any social media, my username is at visually VISUALLY_conscious. And or you can just go on my website at chriscook.art.
Okay, very, very nice. All right. Saundra, returning guest to the cookout once more. Do tell us in terms of, I want to go to the show. You got to tell me more. Do tell.
Absolutely. So again, thank you for having me here, and thank you for having my colleagues here. Boys Don't Cry, Growing Pains is at Heath Gallery through March 15th. I would say that it's an exhibition not to be missed. 11 dynamic artists, and also follow us or take a look at us in social media at Heath Gallery, because there's a whole list of programming that we have going on in connection with this exhibit. There is a film screening that's going to take place the first week of March. There's going to be a special gentleman who will be performing some poetry with his troupe in front of the artwork. And then the 15th of, and that's going to be on the 1st of March. And then on the 8th or 15th of March, I think it's the 8th of March, there's going to be a workshop, a men's workshop called Human. And be sure to just take a look at us at Heath Gallery to make sure that you're getting a full download on all of the program that has been specifically designed to go along with this fantastic exhibit.
So definitely, Saundra, Heath Gallery, you always make sure that it is activated in some way, that you'll always have something going on there, correct?
We try very much to. We absolutely try very much to. Again, to be sure that no artist can ever say that they don't have a place to show their work. That's our commitment.
I love that. Love that. Okay. So, Night Watchman, I see you pause for something. What are you about to say?
Oh, I'm just wondering when, Curtis, you're going to show those watercolors that you do. Wow. You just had to go there. You just, why? You know. Come on, man. We know you have that artistic soul, man. Let it out. Let it out. You know, age is not a factor, man. You know,
y'all, I don't know why he's putting me on blast, but Saundra, if I had any talent at all, you know, I would have seen you first. You know this already. Okay.
No. Now I know to pursue you. You know.
Whoa!
Now I know to hunt you down and say, when are you going to show these?
All right.
March 28th.
Y'all are so bad. Okay. This is the last round. So, Yvena, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, all right, I have a gallery. How can they get in touch with you? Go ahead.
Definitely on
See, Yvena, now you know why Night Watchman is here. Now you know. Okay, so yes, quite nice. All right.
Thank
so
you.
So that's how they can get it. Night Watchman, you always seem to astound and surprise me. I love this. Okay.
And I don't know why you're astounded and surprised. I'm very consistent.
Chris, I got a show coming up, an exhibit. How do they get in touch with you, man? Do tell. I heard the Instagram. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So Instagram is at visually conscious, at visually_conscious, excuse me. Or like I said, website chriscook.art is usually the best way to communicate with me. Send me a message. I'm always happy to talk about art, or you will always catch me at the opening. So either or, I'm pretty flexible. Oh,
see, once again now, and tell me, Chris, were you not surprised at that one too?
Yeah. Trust me, you got me surprised when
he wasn't surprised because he put it in the chat so I could do it.
I wasn't sure I would make it in time.
I'm working on it. Keep talking because I got one more to do.
Okay. So Saundra, of course you're up. So Heath Gallery.
He missed the cue here.
What did I miss? Do tell. I backed up. So what did I miss? Tell me.
Forget it. No, Saundra's up now.
Okay, Saundra, do tell.
So what am I telling? How you can find me, or
yes. We got you. Okay. So hold it. Well, now, Watchman, was that night right on cue or what?
Right on cue.
Yeah, you were a couple of beats behind. Everybody else was on it, but as you were all day, you were just a little bit behind.
So
I'm like Luca, man. I'm trying to throw the pass, so you can score. But you got to pay attention, or it's just going to hit you in the head. Okay. All right, so let's wrap this up.
Yes, indeed.
Soul Lounge Prime Time on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. You can always find us on Monday night, 7 o'clock on the radio, 90.3 FM. Also WHCR.org, live streaming all over the world. And 8 o'clock, this video version on YouTube and Facebook on the Soul Lounge Prime Time channels. And thank you all for joining us.
Yes, you guys have been incredible. All I do know that every one of you coming back to the cookout, okay?
Okay.
However, Yvena and Chris, bring some damn food, okay?
I got you on lockdown. Trust me. Because which one you want? Down south or Jamaican? Got you.
Absolutely. Take care, y'all. Incredible show.
So much. Thank you.
You got it.
All right.
And I'll see you at the Heath Gallery.
Please, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, you got it.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Take care. Bye, Yvena.